So he's he's gradually added that extra 300 or whatever few hundred miles an hour eastward to keep up, and then he gets to the airport, and because he's been doing that slight bank the whole time, he has maintained his x velocity to match the surface velocity of the ground. So now he's hovering here. He's not landed yet. He's about to land. He looks down there at the landing pad, the big H or whatever, and if he sees the ground moving relative to himself at all, he just pitches around, banks and pitches a little bit until he gets himself lined right up to that big H. And at that point, then his tangential velocity in absolute terms matches the Earth in absolute terms.
They teach vector banking and then adjustment at the end. Of course they do, Jesse. Of course they do.
Yeah. They don't train pilots to do this to begin with. And he never looks out and sees, okay, the Earth's moving. How would he know how fast the difference is when he looks out and sees the Earth moving faster than the plane's moving sideways? How's he ever going to get, when he slows down to land, that means you have to be accelerating still sideways and slowing down.
Hang on, new perspective. Hang on. I'm just going to interrupt you. Just new perspective. You sound very muffled right now.
Let me put my headphones in.
He's still clearer than the Globers tonight.
Yeah, that's true.
To be honest, Jesse, I mean, you could just pat us on the back on this one, and move on. Go back to optics, because you're out of your league. You're out of your league here.
So what's the problem, though, with what I said?
Wait, hang on. Before anybody answers that, when he says, "What's the problem?" he is asking you to correct his argument for him.
Well, if you think there's something wrong with it, I don't see anything wrong with it. But if you think there's something wrong,
well, what's wrong with it? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, much better.
What's wrong with it is you never have to worry about looking out the window and figuring out, how would you even know how much faster the Earth is moving? You don't have a gauge of how fast the Earth's moving. When you get there and you see that the ground's moving fast and you do a little adjustment, how would you even know what speed to adjust to? And the helicopter planes, none of them are built to or ever have to try to accelerate sideways to meet this new tangential speed as they're slowing down to land forward. You'd have to have jets on the side that are pushing the plane sideways faster than the plane is moving forward to land.
Not to mention, new perspective, Jesse has basically agreed to equating the ground with a helicopter.
Crosswind. Or even just a crosswind. They'll try to conflate it with crosswinds. Well, the crosswinds are, just because the Earth is moving relative to your plane that's moving side to side, that's not the same as a 15-degree, 1,000 miles an hour, 500 more mile per hour difference that you have to make up. It's not the same. The ground moving consistently sideways eastward is not the same as a crosswind pushing you in any possible direction at any possible speed.
I'm also curious, Jesse, what is your point?
My point is that Coriolis would make no significant effect to the experience of a pilot flying, and it would be so slight that it would seem to him to be exactly like a very, very undetectably faint crosswind.
Okay, so this is a recurring thing. This is a recurring thing that I've heard and seen, and Jesse's exemplifying it right now.
Yeah.
Every Glober comes to the conclusion.
They think it does. They have to believe it does.
Right. So when there's a contradiction, glaring contradiction in the face of an explanation like this, it's always, or it seems to be always, I will say absolutely, it's always too small to measure or it's too big to see. And this exactly falls into that category.
It does. And the problem is, Jesse, also, even like you just explained, if he gets there and it's a little bit out of sync, you just bank around and then somehow get the plane moving sideways to match the Earth. Even if you could get the plane sideways to match the Earth, you're never going to be able to keep accelerating sideways to keep up with the Earth as you're slowing down to land. Now, change your scenario going west southwest. Move your line there, pointed towards the top right corner. How are you going to bank east ever to get more momentum headed towards the equator when you only went west southwest?
Are you saying that this flight from Frankfurt to Abuja would work on a rotating globe?
No, see, why are you trying to deflect? I just said change your scenario. I just showed you it didn't work. What are you talking about? I just said it wouldn't even work with that scenario. Now make it worse. Now make it going west southwest where you can't even claim that banking east is catching you up.
And at the same time, Jesse, you're claiming no Coriolis.
Don't lie.
Well, he's claiming there would be a Coriolis. He's saying the Earth is moving out of sync with the helicopter. At least he's admitting
not according to his I'm sorry, not according to his diagram. Because if
he's saying that you would just like look at the Earth and somehow get the plane in sync with it again. Pilots are never trained to do that.
Oh, actually, helicopter pilots are. I mean, if they look down and they see that the plane is drifting relative to the runway or the landing pad.
Crosswinds are not the same as a moving Earth.
Wait, hang on.
Times do I say this to you? Crosswinds are not the same as a moving Earth. Moving Earth would be 1,000 miles an hour in one direction. The crosswinds can move in all directions at varying speeds. It's not the same thing. Stop conflating those two.
Yeah, but hang on just a second, new perspective. Jesse just showed his ass on accident by saying if the helicopter pilot saw that the plane wasn't moving.
Should I have said aircraft instead?
He's saying that if he saw that he's conflating with crosswinds. He's like, well, if I have to be centered enough to land on an Earth, and the crosswinds are moving, I have to adjust for the crosswinds. And he thinks that adjusting for crosswinds is the same as getting the plane to have more momentum in the direction that the Earth is spinning. And you can't conflate those two because they're not the same period.
Right, because the plane is different than a helicopter. Clearly two different words.
And the Earth moving is different than crosswinds. That's the difference. Crosswinds, it doesn't matter, plane, helicopter. Crosswinds are not the same as Earth moving.
That's what I'm saying, the perspective that he conflated helicopter with not an airplane, but with the plane of the ground. That's what I'm saying.
So now, Jesse, let Jesse explain that if it went west southwest. I want to hear your answer. Well, if it goes west southwest, how does it bank east to gain these moments? Even if it could, I'm not saying it could gain the momentum the way you're saying with Abuja, whatever that flight route. Even if it could do that, let's say you're only going west southwest. Answer it. Don't deflect. Don't talk about anything else. Just say when it's going west southwest, but it needs to gain eastward momentum. How does it do it if it can't bank east? It only went west, Jesse. Don't deflect. Don't say anything else but the answer to that question. How would it do it?
Well. So you can't demand that I don't deflect. Let me respond to Sugar Cookie because he just accused me of something, and then I'll come back to your question if you guys want to. So,
well, how about this for just
hey, Sugar Cookie? Hold on, Sugar Cookie.
But hang on,
Sugar. Hold it. You cut me off a bunch of times, and you accuse. Hey, hold it, guys. Sugar Cookie cut me off a bunch of times and falsely accused me. So listen.
You're right, but the thing that you're demanding that you can't deflect. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, here, hold on. I just, you told me, you accused me of referring to whatever. You're just doing a red herring argument. I accidentally said airplane instead of helicopter, but that really doesn't change the argument at all.
The point I just made, Jesse. Why is that more important to figure out right now?
You answer the one that have to deflect.
Because you two are covering for each other, and
no. I have no idea.
Now you're sounding like this Just answer it. If it went west southwest, Jesse, how is it ever going to bank east to get more momentum in that direction?
Why does he have to bank? Either he banks or he accelerates.
I'm not saying bank. What are you talking? See, this is ridiculous. I'm saying, how does he get more eastward momentum? However you explain it. I'm not saying he has to do anything. I don't think it's a moving Earth. You're the one that believes that.
Powers up a little bit.
What does that mean? Powers up a little bit. Are you crazy? What does that mean? Which direction? How? Be specific.
Okay, so tell me where he starts.
I said west southwest. Chicago to San Diego.
Okay. Okay, and he's going to where? Oh, San Diego?
Yeah.
In a straight line.
In a straight line there, like he always does, like the flight path shows us.
Okay, I'll make up a diagram for that later.
Oh, so you have no answer. You have no answer now, obviously, because there is no answer, Jesse. The Earth isn't moving. That's the only way you can land on a stationary Earth ever. They never have to treat it like an aircraft carrier because the Earth doesn't move. Period.
Well, unfortunately, all the math and all the real world experiments disagree with you.
And show me the math for west-southwest. Show me the eastward vector that you're going to add into your west-southwest direction. How are you going to get your eastward vector in there?
And vectored flight paths. Yeah, show us the vectored flight paths and vector thrusting to get this done.
Yeah.
Fuel consumption ratios during that, all that shit.
It doesn't work, man.
Not even close. You guys
It's
are
been
looking
like
at-
6 hours, guys.
I
Like,
never
it
heard
really
you guys think
doesn't
it's so
work.
bad ever.
Just
It
doesn't.
clearly doesn't work. There's too many unaccounted for speeds. You know, like, and then you have different latitudes. It's like, no, they don't account for this shit, bro.
Different runway directions,
Yeah,
different.
it's just
everything.
total dog shit.
Hey, Riggs.
It debunks
Hey,
the globe.
let's make it about me now.
Well,
Exactly.
yeah, can you see my
Anything to
diversion
escape
at this
the
point.
fucking tragedy of the globe.
Exactly.
So, Riggs, do you think that
Famous.
the helicopter
No, I
could
think
not?
it's all stupid, man. I think it's all stupid.
Dan, do you think the helicopter could fly from Frankfurt to Abuja?
I think you made the biggest, a massive non-point when you drew this out. It was cute at first, but as soon as you pretended that the pilot had any interest in calculating this stuff, it would have to be substantiated by pilots. This would have to be something that pilots would all talk about all the time.
Yeah.
Particularly
And they would be like, man,
certain
I
flights-
almost fucking crashed. I almost
Yeah.
wasn't in sync with the Earth that one time. You would hear about people, like all kinds of disasters happening if this was the case.
and certain certain flights would be trickier, certain airports would be
Yeah.
trickier. You know,
Well, you wouldn't treat every runway the same, no matter which direction it's facing. So you contradicted yourself just by drawing the scenario and admitting that he'd have to look out and make sure he's in sync with the Earth.
Dave made a great point too. Even on an east-west runway, your braking would be substantially different.
Yeah, exactly.
The math
You have to
doesn't
either
say so.
accelerate. Are you kidding me? Can you think
The
outside the
math
math?
assumes
Common
motion.
sense?
The math assumes motion to begin with. That's why you're
The
off.
math
You're-
assumes a stationary Earth.
No, it makes no such assumption.
Oh no, the Coriolis correction math. Pilots never use that, bro.
So,
Why
if
is
I
that?
if I made such a non-point, then how come no one will answer my question?
What's your question?
What's your question, dude?
Do you think the helicopter could fly along that white line from Frankfurt to Abuja? Yes or no? Or you don't know?
Why would it not be able to fly from place to place? Are you talking about with the spinning Earth?
Yes, of course. Of course.
Okay, so the spinning Earth, it doesn't have sideways jets that's going to keep it speeding up to be able to land safely ever.
Well, I haven't
It's
asked.
out of sync with the Earth. It's
I haven't
ever out
asked-
of the sync with the Earth. It's never going to have to correct. It's going to
It's
be like,
not-
oh, am I in line with the Earth? I'm going to have to go sideways faster than I'm moving forward to land.
Okay, he hasn't.
Jesse, it makes no sense. No, it doesn't work.
He hasn't landed yet. I'm just asking if he could fly along the path and hover over the helipad.
No, not according to you. You suggested that he was deviating the whole time.
So you think he would be unable to?
No, you suggested
Why does that even
that
matter,
the straight
Jesse?
line wasn't possible, that he was
If
deviating.
it can't land safely, why does any scenario that you're asking about matter if it can't
Yeah,
land
but
safely?
hang on, because it seems like there's some mind reading going on. For me, I'm trying to follow along.
So,
Good luck. Straight line's a straight line. That's an easy way to follow. Jesse, what are we missing?
So what do you think, Sugar Cookie? Do you think that helicopter could start in Frankfurt and follow that white line with his whatever 0.15 degree bank to the east? He's not landing yet. Do you think he could just fly over to Abuja and hover over the runway?
Well,
Well, the flight
I
path
don't
wouldn't
know
look
about
like
the
that.
shit in between, but yeah, a helicopter can go from point bottom to point top and land there. Yeah.
But I mean on a rotating Earth. Because the tangential velocity in Frankfurt is 650 miles an hour, and it's 1,000 miles an hour in Abuja.
So are you saying helicopters can't do that?
No, so you don't have a problem with the helicopter being able to take off in Frankfurt and land in Abuja on a rotating Earth?
No, do you have a problem with that?
No, I don't.
I mean, why do you have to put the caveat in there?
Yeah, where'd you get the rotating Earth anyway? Don't we have like shitload of documentation questioning that?
Yeah, because if that's the thing, Jesse, you're claiming one thing and then claiming the opposite at the same time. Because if this is the case in your example here, there's no such thing as Coriolis.
Jesse,
Why not?
Jesse, can you share that? Can you share the pic that I just put in the live stream, please? Just to show you, I can tell you, explain it a little bit, why it wouldn't work, why your flight path wouldn't look like this. Would you mind?
Yeah, hold on, let me bring it up. Okay, you should see your diagram.
Thanks. Okay, so what I did was I made the so the light blue dot is your starting point, right? You're at a 200 mile per hour eastward velocity, eastward momentum at where the blue dot is. Now the red dot at the bottom where the green line is, that's if the Earth wasn't moving at all, right? So that would be your straight path. It may take you about 2 hours to get there. And you'd be having to go sideways 1,000 miles an hour if you're on a globe, but since it's stationary, you just get there in 2 hours. Now, the increments that I made this in is 1,000 miles an hour, and these are 500 mile per hour differences, as you can see at the very top. There's 500 mile per hour difference in the area there. So it would take him in 2 hours. The red dot on the right is where that destination will be 2 hours from the time that the plane starts flying towards it, right? So the flight path would actually be a curved one where it has to get to the red dot where that destination will be if it's moving at 1,000 miles an hour, right? So that's what would curve your path towards the destination, because your destination is moving faster, 800 miles per hour faster than when you started out, right? You're starting out at 200, it's going 1,000. So you'd have to constantly be accelerating just to get there, right? Then you would still have to have that sideways velocity that you're not going to keep once you get there when you try to land, because you don't keep your momentum just because you went in that direction for a little while.
I don't think this is how reality works. Do you have a real
Well,
life
in
example
reality,
that will demonstrate this?
well, in reality, your destination is moving 1,000 miles per hour faster than you would be moving if you started at 200 miles per hour. Yes. Like at the equator, a destination at the equator.
Say that again.
We're talking about Chicago to a place straight down from it at the equator, where it's 800 miles per hour faster tangential velocity, right? So just imagine that blue dot's Chicago, and it's going down to Florida, and let's say Florida's at the equator, okay? And then Florida, right, is moving 1,000 miles an hour, but Chicago's only moving 200 miles an hour. So when you take off, you only have that momentum of 200 miles per hour. Now you have to make up that 800 miles per hour. But if the flight took 2 hours to get to Florida, that red dot's showing where that destination will be 2 hours, right? Because it's in a circle, right? So it moved 1,000, it moved that much by the time you were trying to get there. So your flight path would be curved, right? And it'd be twice as long, I saw on the side there.
I think you're mixing frames of reference and trying to, yeah.
Oh,
Because-
wait, so you're saying that you would have to correct for a different tangential speed, but it's not in this different frame of reference? Just by saying that it's correcting it all to catch up to any kind of tangential speed is admitting that it's in a different frame of reference.
No, I think you're just analyzing it wrong. You're not representing the globe model as it is.
No, that's exactly what it would be. Just think about it.
No, because you're not taking into account that the air is moving essentially with the surface of the Earth in the model.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because that if the air is moving with it, so you're saying that air is going to carry the plane? Wind's going all directions, Jesse, not one direction.
By the way, the air does carry the plane.
Well, yeah, of course, the plane uses the air, but the wind's go in all directions. You're acting like this atmosphere acts like a wind that pushes it into the same reference frame. That's not going to solve it. Right?
Well, it keeps it it keeps it pretty close to the airplane. If you just let go of the controls and let the airplane fly straight, it will pretty quickly lose all sideways velocity compared to the wind.
Yeah, but the wind, you can't predict the wind. The wind goes in every direction at different varying speeds. You can't say there's one consistent wind that helps anything here.
Except that the air is moving essentially with the surface of the Earth, right?
Why are you being careful to say air rather than wind?
Well, wind means something else than air. Wind is the movement
so
of air
how is it
relative.
different?
Wind is the movement of air relative to Earth.
That still doesn't answer the question why you're being careful to say that.
Because if I use a word that isn't quite right, you'll jump all over me and make a big red herring out of it, like you did when I called a
you're acting
helicopter
like-
an airplane.
I'm just
You're
saying,
saying the air acts like a wind on the plane. And then you're saying that it's air rather than a wind. And we know winds go in all directions. So your contradiction is being pointed out to you right now.
It's not a contradiction. The air essentially moves with the
You're just-
Earth's surface, deviating only due to winds relative to the Earth's surface.
You're deflecting by answering the question with definitions still. Without just be a real person, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. It's like you're being carefully calculated to say something that we're going to jump on. Yeah, because you can't say the air is moving the plane and not acting like a wind, which we know goes in all directions. You're saying there's some consistency to that wind by calling it air, and that it's affecting the plane like it's a prevailing wind or something. And then we've got other winds that go in the opposite direction. Can't say that. That's where you're That's why you have to think of it this way to keep believing your globe, because this debunks it, bro. I'm sorry.
Said the non-pilot to the pilot.
Okay, so
You're
then
not a
you
pilot.
account for Coriolis when
I'm
when you pilot your little plane that you fly around, your automatic, your remote control one.
I'm an RC
count
pilot, for the
Coriolis?
record.
Don't
know that you
fucking. That's the thing, Jesse. Quit being
know
so
that-
disingenuous, dude. You're
Yeah.
saying you're a pilot. You
Good
don't have
cover.
a remote control.
They
Don't
fly the
always
same.
do that.
That's, flying a model is
Really?
exactly
so you
like.
account for So how do you account for Coriolis without conflating it with crosswind?
I don't need to, because no, you don't need to. Nobody needs to.
Nobody
Because
needs to
you-
because there's no Coriolis.
Okay. Do you guys have any math that shows that Coriolis would appear to be anything, or appear as anything other than a very gentle crossbreed, or any real life experiments to show that it would appear as anything other than a very gentle
So
crossbreed?
hold on. Crossbreeds exist, therefore Coriolis and globe.
Right.
I'm on-
This is so fucking lame, dude. Do you realize you defended this shit for hours?
I just got here about an hour ago.
Jesse,
It feels
Jesse,
like
you
ours.
realize what your screen is showing right now,
Like-
right?
That's from New Perspective. Don't you
Yeah.
like it?
Yeah, I love it. It's great. It goes against everything you're saying.
Unfortunately, it's also incorrect.
Why?
His
Your
diagram
your destination be moving faster than you're moving, so you're going to have to catch up to your destination because it's moving 1,000 miles an hour, and you only started with 200 miles per hour. And this is the deviation that you're talking about. This incremental deviation is this curved path that you would be making. By making those incremental changes to catch up to the Earth, that's what it would look like, a curved path, not a straight path like you were showing.
I don't know
These
how
are the
you guys
corrections.
do it.
Jesse, your diagram and the diagram before that, you.
Yours shows a stationary Earth path. Mine shows a curving Earth path.
Oh, I apologize, Jesse. Before you, it was bacon. My
Ah,
bad.
And
That's
Danik.
true. True.
Just
Danik.
yeah, and then
Bacon for
Zanuck.
an
Yeah,
hour,
just
Danik
as
for 2
bad.
hours.
Just as bad. But whatever.
Yeah.
so Sugar Cookie, you agreed that the helicopter could take off from Frankfurt and land in Abuja on a
No.
rotating Earth, or no?
Oh my god, dude.
If he could just get you to say you agree, he could keep believing the globe.
Well, I'm trying to figure out where
No,
Hey,
you're
Jesse, can I
You're
direct
not, Jesse.
to,
You haven't conceded one globe evidence, supposed evidence, ever. Ever. I gave you a chance because you were new. I talked to you at length about very specific, your own example. We went through all the points. I told you exactly why. It's not sufficient. It doesn't make any sense. And you still are just zealot, like just believing in this shit, man. I'm done wasting time on you.
I mean,
Yeah.
Jesse, can I point you to like this little GIF that I posted at 37 after the hour in text?
I'm looking.
It's something that maybe you can focus on. It's mesmerizing.
37 after which hour?
Well, I don't know, what hour is it? Yeah,
Not
the same hour.
this one.
In live stream one
Not,
text?
yeah,
wait.
live stream, live
Oh,
text.
the tenor.
Not the circle jerking part about that. That was not towards you. But just the GIF itself or whatever. Like that seems like a circular motion around the inside of the circumference. But look at what the lines are doing. Or what the dots are doing. They're actually just going up and down those lines in a timed sequence.
Okay.
Now, I think you should just focus on that. That's it.
Okay, I don't see what that helps, but
It will. Don't
You were
worry, it
getting-
will.
You were
It
getting
will.
very sleepy, Jesse. Very sleepy. You are dropping your guard.
You
are
will.
not-
You will
you
understand.
are-
Yeah, like that straight line you think is curved is just a straight line from point A to point B. It's a straight line.
your programming is breaking down. Interlace your thoughts and walk backwards towards the sound of my voice. Stop,
Remember a week from now.
stop resisting.
where did the grown-ups go?
Wow.
Yeah, you generally act pretty grown up, but today you Globers really got deflated. It's
You know, Dan, like I guess I'm disappointed in myself for thinking that they come here open-minded because they're so smart, they understand the science and all this stuff. It would lead me to believe that, oh, if I just show them the paradoxes, the false reasoning, like the contradictions, just the fact that, oh, by the way, they taught you this, but they didn't teach you any of this other stuff. That alone should just like a light bulb should just go off. Oh, okay. What's this about? Oh, it's everything that has to do with reality as opposed to the false model that they gave us. Oh, okay. It should just be enough to be like, oh, well, there's some probability here. And the fact that it's been discussed and argued for fucking centuries, I would say that there's some validity there.
I
At
think
least
that's a great
to
point,
like
right?
concede a point or two.
Well, Riggs, I think you fucking nailed it right on the head. Is God damn it, it's justifying contradictions, and that's what we've listened to all night.
Yeah, and there's no justification even there. It's like saying the same thing that doesn't make any sense over and over again, expecting other people to suddenly say, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." You're going to go
But if you
1,000 miles
grasp at
east and you
straws
get your
long
thing.
enough, it'll somehow become true.
Right? Oh,
And then,
okay,
like,
I see
getting-
that contradiction. But let me explain that contradiction and how
Yeah,
it
let
works.
me say it over again, and then act like you
Right.
don't understand.
Right.
Oh, look at the
You
comment.
know how
Look
many
at the
times I've
comment.
explained this
Hey
to
guys,
you?
don't get blisters slapping each other on the back. Ha ha ha. Bro, you're out in one ear, out the other, bro.
Well,
everything
think about
everything I've ever told you, that's the category it falls under. Ever.
But
Right.
but
You-
just
You
Just look
no. You start these very long, thorough conversations, and when we give you a rebuttal, out the other hole, bro. It's not even worth talking to you.
But you didn't
literally
do that.
out the other hole.
He's just about to do what you accused him of doing. Let him do it. He's going to do
He already
exactly
did
what
it.
you
He
just
typed in
accused
the
him of.
chat. He's already fucking doing it. We brought up points. He's just going, ha, you guys are patting each other on the back. No, address any of the fucking points we brought up.
Well, you made
Any of 'em.
claims. You made claims. You didn't show evidence. And
No,
you didn't.
I asked you a question. How does it go west-southwest and get eastward momentum? And you couldn't answer it.
I told you I'll draw up a diagram and a map, and I'll get the numbers, and we can talk about it
Just talk to us about
exactly.
any
Like
common
these
sense.
politicians.
Yeah,
Just
that's
talk
right.
to
You
us
can
like
try
a
to
real
justify the
person.
contradictions all day long, Jesse. That's what
Well-
we've been listening to people like you do all night. Is try to justify contradictions in
And-
Plus,
your
we've been
model.
DMing.
Don't
We've been
relate to
DMing
reality.
back and forth, Jesse, and I've already given you this scenario over and over again, and you act like I don't understand in the DMs. And then you get here and you act like it's a new question when I've asked you
Right.
it over and over again.
Exactly. And then you wonder why
Hey,
we
do I
don't
get
want to
it? Do I get
engage.
a chance? Hey, like 3 of you are like tag teaming to
And
take
you
shots
wonder
at me,
why
and you
we
won't let me
don't want
respond
to
to any of them.
engage.
Because you're that frustrating. That's why. Because you're
All
that
right,
frustrating.
the adults are back in the room.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Awesome.
Actually-
they are.
Yeah, even up to Team Zanuck.
So, new perspective. I actually did answer your question in a general sense about Chicago and San Diego. He would, between a combination of pointing the airplane, accelerating, turning his engines up a little, and banking, whatever direction he's going, one of those actions will get him to what he needs to do.
That's an
tell
answer.
and to tell you exactly which direction.
One of those directions will fix it. That's your answer.
No, one of those.
One
actions.
of those directions.
One
Don't
of
be
those
specific
actions.
whatsoever.
Well,
Answer your question, Jesse.
Well, like I said, to give you exact specific numbers to that case, I need to get the latitude of San Diego, of Chicago, the longitude, and work it all out.
No, well,
So-
can't you just acknowledge common sense wise with us in a conversation right now that there's a contradiction? Because you're talking about banking eastward if you're going directly south to catch up, right? So if it can't bank eastward when it's going west southwest, how's it going to catch up?
It's going what now? It's going.
Oh, come on. Well, you have to ask like it's a new question again. West southwest, west southwest, west southwest. How many times do I have to say west southwest? Chicago to fucking San
it's
Diego.
diagonal.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean? What do I mean?
It's the diagonal
Yeah.
line you were looking for before. Yeah, there's your diagonal.
Yeah. And how's it get more eastward momentum when it never could bank east? It only went west southwest. Jesse, answer
Yeah,
that
but-
now as a common sense person, not as a I need to go get calculations. Just answer the contradiction, or at least acknowledge there is one.
Well, I told you, if he needs to bank, he banks. If he needs to point the plane in a direction and accelerate, that's what he does.
You're not even getting specific about east and west. That's the whole point. West southwest. There is no eastward momentum added.
I told you to get exact, specific values
See?
and signs.
You
I
can't
need
just
to make a
admit there's a
diagram.
contradiction at least. These
Oh,
diagrams.
there's a glitch in the system.
I would
Talk
have
to us right now.
I would
Talk
have
to us
to.
right now as a common sense person in conversation.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see any contradiction. I'm willing to draw
What?
a diagram
I
and
just
run the
pointed it
exact
out. You
numbers
have to
and
get-
see
you
if
have
I
to
do then.
gain-
But I don't see a
You can't
contradiction.
understand the words coming out of my mouth. Eastward momentum you need to gain, but you only went west southwest, motherfucker. Answer why that isn't a contradiction in your mind, just on the surface.
You didn't have
Can't
to go
you
Chris
see why
Tucker
that's
on
not
him.
a contradiction? It's ridiculous, dude.
No, I see no contradiction there. What do you see as
Okay,
a
so
contradiction?
why is there no contradiction? Because you can't gain eastward momentum when you're only going west and south. That's the contradiction. How many times do you have to say it?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but do you see what Jesse's doing? He does it every time.
Well, I need to
He's
get the
just like, I
numbers
don't
and I'll
see
get
it.
back to you. And then
It's
it'll
like
be a
in
whole
West-
new conversation.
It's like in Westworld. In Westworld, where they're like, what do they say in Westworld? Like, it doesn't look like anything to me.
He devolves
Doesn't
it
look like anything
slowly.
to me.
No, they don't say that in
Yeah.
Westworld. They say that in West Southwest world.
Ooh.
Nice.
So here's what happened is New Perspective is the one who actually gave me the actual problem of Frankfurt to Abuja, and I took the time to look into it because he says here's the gotcha that's going to get you, and so I took the time to look into it and actually do the math, and then I says I want to go over this with you and you can show me where you think it's going to go wrong. And he says no, I want to change it to Chicago to San Diego. So we hadn't
No.
even gone over this.
No, you're
That's why I
not.
hadn't
You
done the
just do it.
Chicago to
I
San
went
Diego
over
one
it.
yet.
We looked at your diagram. We
We
looked at
all
your
watched
diagram.
it.
And I said,
We all listened.
yeah,
Yeah.
we were right with you. And we told you why it doesn't work even in that scenario. And then I said, make it worse, Jesse. Now you don't even have an eastward banking to rely on to pretend that it catches up to the earth. Now make it worse. It wasn't about ignoring it or trying to change it up on you like you're acting like. You're such a zealot right now, bro.
and you still have no math and no evidence to support your claim. Well,
And then you're going to go ahead and compliment your zealotry by saying that.
well,
Oh my God.
The
Well,
fact,
hang on. Jesse does have a unique ability, and it's to frustrate the shit out of people.
No, he speaks the truth. And one of the things you guys are one of the things you've overlooked right now
Speaking
is
the
the
truth,
effect
but he has no answer.
is the effect of this side force that's going to be this differential speed variation as you go south due to Coriolis. Now, it may not seem like much, a 1.5 mile an hour or 1 mile variation, but it's being applied for a long period of time. You can think about this two ways. One of the extreme way would be like jumping in a river from
See how he
a
changed
10 mile
to
an hour
south?
river.
He didn't say west southwest. He wants to go south now, and he say there's eastward vectors that he can add. He doesn't want to go
Well-
west southwest.
Well, yeah,
because he knows
you
there's
can
no
go.
eastward
I
velocity.
agreed with you that you could. I think even yours is a great example because then you're gonna almost become inertial by the time you get to the equator. But that would be over how long? How long we'd travel if we're going to go down to like the equator? Are we going over a 15-hour
4-hour
flight?
flight from Chicago to San
Or
Diego.
we're just okay. So we're doing a very short distance. So we're only doing a vertical or a north-south distance of how far? How far is that? About 500 miles? 600 miles?
No, it's about 800 miles from Chicago to San Diego. No, about actually 1,700
No,
miles.
No, you didn't hear what I said. I said just north to south.
Call
No,
it.
why are
eight.
you trying to
Go,
change
go. Call it.
Why are
eight.
you trying
Go.
to change it to that? Why are you trying to
Because
make it north to south?
you're going at a diagonal, and part of this will be affected by Coriolis, the southern, and some of it won't be the western. So we're only talking about
West,
the
southwest.
tangential
Just
velocity,
keep it
which is
west,
only
southwest,
respect for.
Zanuck, west
Yeah,
is the important
But
part.
you're still
You're saying
making
that
a
you can't
you're
go
still
in an
making a
opposite
trip.
vector than the
You're still
momentum.
making a trip that is the southern direction. However far you go south is the effect the Coriolis will take. Because remember, the tangential velocity will be different in San Diego versus Chicago. Now, can anyone tell me
Yeah,
what the difference
mostly
in
west,
tangential velocity is?
Mostly west. That's why I'm saying west southwest.
It
You're going
doesn't
mostly
matter.
west.
It's mostly. It matters what it is. So then
Yeah.
it matters how
Yeah.
long you actually travel to get there. So
Chicago
how
to
long
San Diego.
how long it takes to get there will be how long it's exposed to this differential tangential velocity that will also have an effect on the air mass should there be no tailwinds or crosswinds or any kind of wind issue. It's just still wind. Now, of course, you can say what if the wind makes it worse? We have a westerly wind,
Can I
which
try
is
to follow you here?
very unusual because generally the winds come from it comes from the west. The westerly wind might be what we'd be actually seeing, but if it came from the east, it'd make it a lot worse, especially if it was consistent from Chicago all the way
Zanny,
down south.
So,
So
if
all I
I
need you to tell me is what the tangential velocity. I can figure it out. Someone should know this. What's the
Yeah.
tangential velocity difference? What's the tangential velocity difference between Chicago and San Diego? Anyone know offhand?
I'm not sure, but can I follow you? I'm trying to follow you.
17,000,
in what you're saying.
1,729
So if I
miles.
jump in a river,
No, the complete wrong answer. Sorry.
so if I jump,
1,729 miles. That's the distance from Chicago.
No,
to
that's
San
not the
Diego.
tangential velocity difference.
No,
if
I
I-
said miles. Okay, so the
And it
tangential
has nothing to do with the
velocity-
distance. It has nothing to do with the
Okay,
distance.
I thought you asked
It's
distance. I didn't know
It's
about the
5,000.
I didn't
It's
think you were
6,000
asking
miles
about
from
tangent.
Tokyo, and there's no tangential difference between Tokyo and Seattle or maybe Portland. I'm not sure. Anyway, you get the point. We need to know the tangential velocity
Okay, we're
difference.
at 41 degrees.
Otherwise,
We're at 41
you're
degrees
shooting
north.
You're shooting blindly in the air.
41
just like-
degrees latitude with Chicago, right? And we
41
got San Diego.
Chicago. That sounds about right. And San Diego's probably about what? 36, 35?
32.
Is it 32?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's that difference? That is it's 60. What would you say Chicago was? 40 what? 42?
42.
42 and 32. Is that the difference?
Pretty much.
So that's
33.
600 miles.
33.
Right.
It's
So
32.7.
according to the globe
30.
Earth, we know that because it's round, that every degree is going to be 60 miles. So since it's 10 degrees, it's going to be
no,
600 miles.
not because it's round. Why you gotta throw that shit in there, dude?
But it is. So we got 600 miles. So now we're going to say over 600 miles and a time of roughly
Wait.
4.5 hours
Wait, where'd you get 600 miles?
because you're 10 degrees off
Well,
latitudinally.
but the distance between the two cities is 1,700 miles.
It doesn't matter. You keep on saying that. I keep on telling you it doesn't matter. You understand why? Because all we're dealing with is the differential tangential velocities. That's the cause of the Coriolis, the conservation.
Oh, you're talking about the difference in tangential velocities is 600 miles. Okay, 600 miles per hour.
Yeah,
so you have to make up 600 miles per hour eastward momentum.
Right.
From where to where?
Chicago to San Diego.
Chicago to San Diego.
Are you kidding me, Jesse? How many times have I said Chicago to San Diego to you tonight?
What's the differential? 600 miles an hour?
So
Yeah.
he got it like 600 miles is the distance north to south. So we're going to get we have to get a tangential velocity difference of what 600 miles on the sphere is. And so now we need to know what the tangential velocity at San Diego is, and then what the tangential velocity at Chicago is. 32
I thought
degrees.
you just said it was 600 miles per hour difference.
No, 600 miles. That's the distance. That's just the distance south.
Distance.
That's the distance south. You'll be traveling.
What
And
are you
that, I
talking
can
about?
I can calculate what the
You're talking
tangential
about
velocity
meeting.
difference.
You're going to try to make it so that meets the city, where the city turns towards the plane, right? You're going to have the flight going south, and meeting the fucking the city that's coming at it, when you can see that the flight path is straight from Chicago across the United States to San Diego. There's no going south 600 miles per hour or 600 miles to meet this city that's coming at you, even though that's the way it would work if it was a spinning globe. You're right. It would
No,
work. They would meet the city. They would wait for it to spin towards you.
We're saying if the globe is spinning and you're traveling south 600 miles, that'll give us a differential tangential velocity. And that velocity difference is probably, I don't know, I wouldn't think it's more than 100 miles an hour, but that's just a guess. There's actually I think there's a chart somebody posted. I can
Still
track
waiting
it.
for the whole thing where I'm swimming. I jump in a river, and then what happens?
Yeah. So you jump in the river, and the water would take you about maybe half a second to 2 seconds before you got up to complete speed. That means that water, you'd have a drag coefficient of your body.
It's like not a lot. I mean,
Can I just finish it?
Not like the Mississippi.
Can I just finish?
River.
I'm going to give you two
It's
scenarios:
much-
jumping in the river and then jumping out of a bus or out of a truck.
Like something
Because
I would have a
one's
chance
water,
to swim
one's
across, right.
Hey guys, is this perspective talking over me again? Is that
No, that's
No,
sugar.
no, no.
No.
Listen, no, I'm.
You're
I'm
acting
trying
like
to go with
you're
you
acting
on
in
this
perspective.
analogy.
It makes it very annoying, and it gives me a headache to talk over me. I'll have no problem stopping, but just let me speak. So the water shows that the drag coefficient of the body and the frontal area, and how fast it's going, will tell you how much force it acts on that body. So how long it'll accelerate the body in the river. And you've jumped that moving river before. You get up to speed maybe in a second or two, right?
Well, that's what I'm trying to ask you about.
Now, hold on. Now, the other scenario is jumping in the air. How does air affect a moving body like a body, which is very unaerodynamic and has very low frontal area? So that drag coefficient type of frontal
I'm just
area.
trying to have a conversation
So
with you.
I'm jumping out of the truck, and how long does it take it to get to the? If it's 50 miles an hour and I jump out, what do you think the velocity is when I jump out like 10 feet of a big bus? What speed do you think hit the ground? What do you think the speed is?
Zach doesn't have conversations.
Like, did you just
with people,
pound
he
your
just
face
talks.
into like $1,000
It's a
worth
pretty
of
simple
cocaine or
concept.
something?
I'm trying to give you the answer, but you don't want it. You don't want to listen.
So real fast,
So
Zanuck
the
doesn't
force
have
that acts on
conversations
you
with
for that,
people, he
that
just
total
talks
flight duration.
down to them and talks over them.
Yeah, we've been through
And
it
then he
for hours
asks
already.
questions, and then he answers his own question. Then he goes on a monologue about the answer, then transitions into another question.
I don't
then
think
he
that was a
answers his own
monologue at
question.
all.
No, I was
You
trying to
literally
go
asked
along
him
with
a
him on
question.
the jumping in the
I know
river.
you were,
Answer
but Winston
it.
doesn't want to learn. He just there to obfuscate. So I'm not going
Then
to
he
tell you the
always
story
acts
now.
like- then he
It was
always
a
acts
way
like
you-
he's from
it was a
himself.
way-
This is untact.
Hey,
You're
what's
just-
it?
It was a
Then
way. It was a way.
Then Zanuck just confirms what I said by saying,
Yeah, there was a way to explain what Bacon.
He's just trying to
Bacon
talk
talked
down
about
to
this
you.
earlier. Bacon talked about this earlier. I was trying to give you a little bit of meat on the bone.
Hang on, you're interrupting.
Okay, so you're not going to. You don't want to listen. Okay, fine. This is why you'll
You don't
never
wanna
hear the
learn
answer because
because
you
you're
just talk.
dumb and I know it
Oh my
all.
God.
And I can't if I can't teach you and I can't act like I'm teaching you and then call you dumb at the same time for calling out my contradictions. That's your tactics. You're just a bundle of tactics. It's
There's
obvious.
nothing wrong with your objection and your question. I think it's a noble question.
Well, but hang on a
I'm
second
trying to give
here.
you
I
the
think
answer.
Panic is
I'm trying to give you the answer of how the atmosphere
using-
comes into play
Panic,
with
hang on
this
a
differential
second.
tangential velocity. Fuck, you're obnoxious.
Hang on a second,
Dude,
dude.
everyone in the room is saying you're obnoxious. Do you not think that maybe you're oblivious? Have
But
you ever
I'm not.
watched
I'm
these
trying to give an
back-
explanation. They don't like the explanation.
Well,
He's talking over me.
I am talking
ever
over
watched-
you. I'm talking. The only reason why I'm talking over you, Zanuck, is because you're conflating me with new perspective, and you're answering two different types of things at the same time, and it makes no fucking sense. Because I was genuinely trying to go with you on that journey of me jumping into a river for whatever you were trying to equate to that.
Well,
Then-
how fast the medium? How much force the medium will act on that body going from higher tangential velocity to a lower tangential
Oh
velocity?
no, dude, I don't want to interrupt.
Okay,
but
there
I'm
you go.
just trying- okay,
There you go again.
good lord.
So I can't do it. I've tried like 100 times, and every time I start talking, it's interrupted. So it may
No,
seem
no,
like
dude,
chaos,
Zanuck,
but it's not me.
that you-
I'm not
not that
monologuing
way.
at all. I'm not
No, yeah, it
monologuing
is.
at all.
It
I'm
is.
giving you a specific example.
Right now, you're not letting me talk. It's like when someone, what you do is you act like you walked into a classroom and you're giving the lecture of the day, and that you're supposed to raise your hand at the end of it if you have any questions. You're not in here to have conversations. If no one
I
said
am
anything,
actually.
stop, dude. If no one interjected, you would talk for 5 literal minutes to yourself, dude.
No, I wouldn't. You're making an assumption, a dangerous one at that. All I want to do is give a scenario. Someone's trying to follow it. You jumped in and.
Holy
Let
shit,
me just-
Zanuck! I was trying to follow with you, and you.
I know. So that's okay.
Oh
If you have a
my
question,
God.
raise your hand. Interrupt me. Go ahead. I don't care if you interrupt me. I don't want you talking over me though. So let me break. If you don't have if you have a question along the way, I have no
It's like-
problem with stopping.
I'm going to do exactly what you said I'm going to do, and I'm going to act like it wasn't like you didn't say it at all.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's
wanted
what
to
they
give you.
do.
Let me just say. Let me give it the
with it.
premise.
You're dead. You're dead on with what you just said.
No, he's not.
No, yeah,
let me
no.
just give you. Let me give you a summary of what I was going to tell you. What I want to tell you is the effect of this
Let
medium
me
based on
continue to
differential.
teach the
See, I
class,
can't even
even
give
though
you.
I was
I can't
about
even
to
give you
teach
the
class.
one sentence.
Here comes a lecture, not a
No, it's
dialogue.
not a lecture.
not
I
a
was going to tell you. I was going to tell you the effect of this differential tangential velocity along the way, with the presupposition that the atmosphere is following along in lockstep. I was just going to do that. Real simple.
Wait,
Just
did
need
you
its
just say
effect on-
lockstep? You know better. You know better.
Hey,
You're
real
not
fast,
supposed to
real
say that.
fast.
No. Just
Zanuck,
just
if
for
you're
the
under
example.
impression that everyone wants to hear you lecture to them and everyone wants to sit here and listen
It's
to
not
it
a lecture.
all day, why are you interrupting me, dude?
Because it's
If
not
you're
a
under
lecture.
the stop interrupting me, dude. I'm gonna mute you. I don't know how long you've been in here doing this, but I'll just mute you. So
Hours.
if you want to lecture to people and not let them talk, and then when they go to respond to you, immediately jump in to start talking again, and you think people actually want to be lectured to by you, why don't you go start your own Discord called Zanuck's Lectures, and then everyone can go there since you think people want to listen to that.
I do appreciate that he's at least admitted that there is a problem here that he can't answer. If you
I
only
can't
go
answer
west
it.
and south, you can't gain eastward momentum. He says
Yes,
he
he
can
can.
answer it like it's like, and he says, I don't understand, but at least he's admitting that you would get there and you'd be out of sync with the Earth if it was actually spinning. But since we're
If
never
there's
out
no
of sync with the
atmosphere.
Earth and we only land on the stationary Earth, you can't explain it in a way that makes any sense ever, because you're talking about being out of sync with the Earth. Pilots never have to worry about that because the Earth is stationary.
If
And-
there was no atmosphere, that would happen.
You're going back to the
Because there-
atmosphere for your
Because there is
answer
an
now?
atmosphere. So why don't you interrupt when you have a question rather than just when I start talking? So if there was no atmosphere, you'd have that problem. If there was an atmosphere, there's still a problem, but it's much less. And the reason I brought that up is because if you are traveling from Chicago to San Diego, you're going through a differential tangential velocity. And that tangential velocity would be a differential medium velocity as well. And so that will actually have an effect on the air. Now, will it be 1-to-1? No, absolutely not. That's why I bring up the coefficient of drag and the frontal area, which is a side view of the airplane, to if that slow 1 mile per hour per minute was applied to it as a force, how much would it accelerate it to the east? That is the main premise of my bringing it up.
But Zanuck, now let me say one thing. When you guys talk about going directly south, you say, okay, we bank east incrementally over the period of this many hours so that we could meet this new tangential velocity because it's a higher one
Correct.
at the equator. But now you're saying that when you go west against the spin, that somehow the atmosphere is going to do the same thing as banking east and get you back into that one-to-one relationship
Only-
on its own.
only to the degree that you were traveling south, your southward vector, and the amount of time you were exposed to that differential tangent
Can you
velocity.
acknowledge the contradiction? If you're saying that you have to consciously bank east when headed directly south, and you can no longer bank east because you're only going west and south, you can't just now say, "Oh, the atmosphere fixes it."
Didn't say it fixed it
Because the
100%.
atmosphere would fix it no matter what. The atmosphere would fix it no matter where you go. Then, well, not 100%.
No,
Then
it
you're saying
doesn't.
you're out of
It doesn't
sync.
fi- it
If
doesn't
you were
fix it.
1 mile, if you were even 5 miles per hour out of sync with the Earth, would you never see? Pilots never have to land on a moving surface, and they would if you're at all ever out of sync with the Earth, and you would notice the Earth moving sideways underneath you, just like all the scenarios earlier. You never see that because the Earth is stationary. Period.
That is no different. There is no difference between that velocity differential and one caused by a crosswind. Zero difference.
No, there is a difference because one is a consistent
none.
movement eastward. The other one is directions of winds in every which direction at varying
As long as
speeds.
that wind had
One is
as
consistent.
long as that wind had a component that was similar, it would be exactly the same.
Yeah, but winds go in all directions.
It does, but if you let's say you had a westward wind the entire time, which you do actually when you fly
Sure.
from Chicago to. Let me
Yeah,
finish.
that'd make it worse.
When you
make
fly-
it even worse, right?
It makes it better. It makes it better.
Why?
Because if you're flying in
Because you
that
need
direction,
more
and you
eastward
have-
momentum. How about a westward wind
Oh my
direction?
God!
Give you more eastward momentum.
Unbelievable! You just can't.
Oh, yeah,
That's
you
a
can't
direct
interrupt
question.
them either, dude. Regardless of who's
Yeah,
doing
but
it,
it's
really
the
hard to
direct
listen.
question. How are you going to gain more eastward momentum if you have a westward wind? That makes no sense.
All right, but now you got to let him say something, and Xanax,
Yeah,
you got to
go
keep
ahead.
it concise, please.
I have been keeping it concise.
That's a
Now
lot.
you have a force. I have.
Answer that question I just asked.
You have a eastward component called this wind. It's coming in from it's westward wind, but it's an eastward. It's pushing it eastward, and that is the momentum that you're going to be gaining as you travel southward.
Wait,
'Cause
you
you're not
just
gonna
said
fight it.
westward wind is going to push it eastward? How is a westward wind going to push it
Because a
eastward?
westerly comes from the west.
No, a
a westerly
westward wind. I'm saying westward direction of wind, not coming from the west, moving east.
No,
Are you
the wind. When we fly, reality is when you fly west, you're flying into a headwind. You know that, right? Most of the time.
Well,
Most
if the
all
Earth
the
was
time.
spinning, yeah, it would. If the Earth was
No.
spinning with the atmosphere spinning with
Regardless,
it, then it would
we
act like a
always
headwind,
know.
yes.
No, that
In
has nothing
order
to do with.
for an airplane to take flight, you have to have a headwind. You have to
Well, you
have
have to
lift.
use the air to fly. Yeah.
That's true. That's why the
Use
airports
the
are set up
air.
the way they are. But generally flying. That's why flight times
So
are a little longer.
so
Going.
that just negated your
Did you
entire
find it was time
point,
to run into
Jay,
me again? Why are you talking over me again?
because
Did
that
you
just
think you get
negated your.
90%
I'll answer you.
monopoly?
It's because it
No.
negated your entire point.
Okay,
That's
no.
why.
So when you fly westward, generally the flight times are longer because the wind generally comes from the west to the east. So that's why it takes longer. It has nothing to do with Earth spin.
Oh, it doesn't have anything to do with the Earth spin? I thought the wind, that the atmosphere moving with the Earth was the reason for that wind.
Well, Coriolis is the reason for the jet stream, not just general wind currents, trade winds and things. Exactly.
Hey, Xanax, what are you
Xanax,
going to do when I make a documentary where I literally sit down and discuss all these specifics with like 10 different pilots, and they just all say that you sound ridiculous? But actually, I'm not going to
because
bring
I'm a
your-
pilot as well. I'm a pilot
You
as
actually
well,
will-
and I
no, you're
don't
not.
sound
No,
ridiculous.
no.
Anyone that is a
No,
pilot
no, I'm
that I
talking
speak
about like
to
a real deal
says exactly
pilot.
what I'm saying. There's no
No,
difference. There's no difference. What I'm
they're all
telling
going to say they never account for
you.
anything.
My dad flew 40 years in United Airlines. Pilot.
That's a cool story. So they're all going to say,
Story?
because
And he flew
I
in
used to
in
work-
Korea, flew jets in Korea, went
Dude,
supersonic.
it's
He was a fucking war
unbearable,
hero.
man. You're
Come on.
unbearable, man. You're literally
No,
unbearable.
I'm telling you, I have my family are pilots. We have
So
planes.
what does that
We've
have to
owned
do
planes.
with you interrupting me?
Well, you're making false accusations and making
Dude,
claims
it's
that you're not
like
going to back
seriously,
up.
bro. This server has become the Xanax Deja Vu show. Because you never let people talk. It's just like you want 90% monopoly of the air.
This one's really funny though, because
There's
he
a lot of
admitted
projection on
several
your
times
side.
he can't
Yes,
answer.
you seem to be taking
He's
up all the
admitted he
time.
can't answer it, but then he keeps
I
trying to
can
answer
answer it.
it. He sounds
I
like a
can answer it.
babbling
And I'm
old
trying to
man.
answer it.
You haven't answered
But
it.
I'm-
You're trying, but you can't. 'cause you
I've been
can't gain
trying. You
eastward
won't let me
momentum.
talk. It's okay.
What?
You've
You've been talking the whole
You've
time.
You just Yeah, just keep babbling and babbling
I'm
as if
trying
it's
to
an
s-
answer, but it's no
I've
answer.
said 3 things about one sentence long, and all 3 of them have been talked over. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
That's a
I get
lie.
it. You don't
When
listen.
I first came in here, I heard you talking for 2 straight minutes.
Yeah, saying, "Let me talk. Let me talk. Let me talk." Yeah.
No, you were talking. What you were doing
Well, I
was
was
talking to the
giving an
other guy.
example. I started giving an example. I wanted people to
You
understand that there was a
Oh.
force caused. I wanted people to understand there was a force caused by the medium that might be moving at adjacent to your direction, and how that affects
Okay, look, so
your
what happened
tangential
was
velocity.
when
Okay,
I came
so
in
you're
here,
talking over me
you
now
were like,
too.
no, because you interrupted me to say that part, dude. Do you
All
not
right,
see how
I don't
annoying you
need. I
are?
don't need
If,
this. So go ahead.
think about
I
this.
thought I'd give you
Think
some
about this.
information you could use. I don't
Now
need
you're
to talk
talking
to you.
again, dude. Now you're literally so like if I start talking and then you interrupt me and then I yield the floor to you and I wait even though you interrupted me and then eventually I jump in and then you cry about me interrupting you, you sound ridiculous, dude. Okay? And like then half the time I have to correct you like you're a child that just won't stop painting on the walls. So it's like, no, you don't paint on the wall, Nick. No paint on the wall. So it then just kills the whole vibe. Okay. So when I first came in here, you were lecturing this dude, and then you were making like 50 points, gish galloping, and then you would ask a question, and then you'd go on to answer the question, leading into another gish gallop. Then you get to another question, and then you'd start answering your own question again. You're not in here to have a discussion. You think that we don't understand and that you have to teach us.
That was a lot of information. I would say probably more than I got to the floor. But anyway,
What
no,
did
there
he
was a
say?
specific topic
What did
that I was
Witsit
talking
say?
about. I don't want to go over that again. I was listening to every word he
Yeah,
said.
you were
So
you
if
were
he wants me to
muted,
stop gish
which
galloping,
means you
what I
probably
talked about,
weren't even paying attention.
I
Right?
was listening. Okay, here's what he said.
What did he say?
He said I was talking about one subject and got in here, and then I didn't let anyone answer questions. And I got into another topic and started gish galloping again and completely dominated the floor for dude. It was like a sentence or two each. But I just want to say this. All I was doing was telling there is a situation that you can change your tangential velocity as you travel southward by the medium if it is following in lockstep with the Earth. Not saying that it is, just saying there's a component there. And that's what Bacon was talking about initially 2 hours ago. I was just going to address that point. It has to do with the side area divided and times the coefficient of drag of the plane going sideways, facing that side facing wind, side directional current. So that's okay. That's what's going to make it follow the increases tangential velocity, regardless if it's going southwest.
Yeah, it went west. So if you're saying banking east adds eastward momentum, then you're going to lose momentum just by flying west already, like you acknowledged earlier.
Yes,
so how are you going to have
momentum.
this atmosphere all of a sudden make more velocity in the opposite directions flying?
Well, you still want to get there. You still want to get there and as fast as you can, and it actually aids. And there's statistics on the amount of fuel that planes use when they're going to directions from lower and like toward the equator northward, and you're trying to go someplace east of north as you go up. There's a lot less fuel spent that way because you already have a lot more momentum and you can conserve energy that way. But going south, it's the opposite.
You guys can't acknowledge the contradiction.
Just like going east or west also costs more fuel.
And south, then
okay, so you're not
acknowledge the
listening
contradiction. You've acknowledged that you can't answer this, and then you act like you already.
I have not acknowledged that. You keep on saying it. Doesn't make it true.
Yeah, you did. You said I tried this the other day. Yesterday when we went through this, you were like, "Oh, the other day I wasn't successful with answering this, but now I have an answer."
No, I was not successful in convincing you how it worked. There's a difference.
Talk over me. Talk about kids throwing balls to each other and trying to change the direction of the flight and trying to talk about the moon or talking about all these things that you're just galloping around trying not to answer it. Yeah, you brought in the moon. If you're on the moon, like why even just
I brought in no I want to talk about no atmosphere so you can figure it out.
If you're going west southwest, you don't have it, you can't say that banking east is even in that scenario. So you can't gain momentum when you're headed towards the equator. You need more eastward momentum, which you acknowledge. And you acknowledge going west would make you lose your original conserved momentum. So it'd even be worse. And now you're saying the atmosphere fixes it for you? Well, if the atmosphere fixed it for you magically, you would never have to bank east just going directly south.
Correct. And that's why you don't have to bank that much east when you're going south, because there is.
So we have an agreement.
I'm trying to explain. So every time, literally, I mean, I'm keeping track. This is the 4th time. Got 5 words into a sentence get talked over. So I can explain it to you if you want to listen, but you don't. And by the way, wasn't failing to explain or didn't know. I wasn't able to get my point across to you yesterday. I said I failed in convincing you what the situation was.
That's how you tried to reword it.
Not an
so it made it
understanding.
seem like
I know
didn't understand.
You're doing it again. You're doing it again.
Yeah, because you have no answer.
No,
yeah,
because. Come on.
Acknowledge the contradiction.
Come on.
Xanax, just stop being all weird because you agree, dude. It's fine.
Okay, so someone wanted to hear the hypothetical. So when you go south and you don't have an atmosphere, yeah, you could almost become inertial if you're going fast enough to the east, right? We talked about this. And so you'd have to turn around.
To the west.
I mean, going to the west, yes. If you're going west, you could become inertial.
Are you talking about, I don't know what, are you talking to me?
Whoever wants to listen.
That was not
If
the
you're
right
going
thing to
south,
ask.
if you're going southwest and you have enough vector to the west that is fast enough, you could become inertial. You're going 500 miles an hour or 1,000 miles an hour, you could almost become inertial.
Okay, well, I'm interested in
Which
the jumping
means-
in the
which
river
means the Earth would be-
hypothetical. So when you're done
which
with
means-
that one, hit me up.
Okay. Which means the Earth would be moving underneath you at 1,000 miles an hour. And that's a problem when you get to your destination if there's no atmosphere. But because there's an atmosphere along its path, it will act as a drag force, giving you momentum to the east. Not 100%, maybe 50% depending on how long the flight is. But you're still going to have excess momentum or lack of momentum compared to the tangential velocity of the ground that you're going to have to make up. And you do that by either turning to the east.
Yeah, but you went west, southwest.
And
See, you're just ridiculous. You sound like a crazy man. You went west,
You're turning
southwest.
to
You
the
can't
east.
gain
What-
eastward momentum. You never went east at all. But you need more momentum eastward. How are you going to do that?
The actual atmosphere has been working on you the entire path to do that. Why are you laughing? That's what happens.
Because you're flying against the atmosphere and you lost momentum. You just admitted you could be inertial. You've lost all your momentum from going westward, right? You've lost all your eastward momentum.
If there's no
How are you
atmosphere,
going to gain
there's no-
1,000 miles per
if
hour
there's
eastward
no-
momentum?
If there's no
from the
atmosphere.
now is going to fix it for you? Well, if that was the case, you
Well,
would
yes,
never
'cause
have to bank
you're
east
flying
ever.
in an air. You're flying in an air mass, and flying in that air mass, it will give you a tangential velocity to the east. Why was that so hard to understand?
Because you went west against that. You
No,
have
but yeah,
westward
you're going against it,
momentum
but it's
just
still
by flying west.
it's still working.
You have
it's still
more
working
westward
on the
momentum
body.
than eastward momentum. After
Is it a
going
force
4
on
hours westward, you're going to have more westward momentum than eastward momentum. But you needed to gain eastward momentum, not lose it.
And the atmosphere gives you that along its path. That's that nervous laugh again.
Now you've become a magical atmosphere guy. You just
No,
resorted to that.
The atmosphere. That's why I brought up the river, and then I transitioned it to the air to show the effect of aerodynamically how the surface area of an object and its drag coefficient will be a force acting on that object for as long as it's in that field, into that medium.
You've been in here 2 hours and you acknowledge that when you went west, you're going to lose momentum and you're going to get to the equator and you're going to need to
no
pick up that momentum.
atmosphere. If there is no atmosphere, remember,
Well, then how are you going to fly
key
against the
point.
atmosphere if it's pushing you back into that lockstep relationship you need with the Earth? You
Because
can't ever
that-
fly against it then.
Because that force is acting to the east, acting on the body, and it will
You
be
don't
giving it
gain
momentum.
momentum eastward when you're flying westward. That's the
Because you
it's
gotta-
a common
you gotta-
sense
you gotta-
contradiction.
And if you had a west, the same thing as you had a eastward flow of air, the same thing.
Yeah, but when you're going directly south, you guys
Yeah,
are
but-
saying banking east. Yeah, when you're going directly south, you're saying banking east is going to somehow give you more momentum in that direction to match the new tangential speed. Well, then by that
This
philosophy,
is
going
why I
west is
didn't
going to
like
make you lose momentum. See, you're going to talk over me because
This
you're
is why-
caught.
No, I didn't mean to.
and it's
I
a
thought you were
gotcha,
done.
and you're got. I got you.
You stopped,
You
and
can't
you stopped
gain
and I started
eastward
talking
momentum because you only get more westward momentum by going west. It's the same philosophy that you would gain eastward momentum by going east. So you can't say you're going east and west at the same time. You'd have to gain more momentum. You're headed towards the equator. You only
Let me
went
know when
west
you're
and
done.
south. You're not gonna have the atmosphere all of a sudden push you back 500 miles per hour faster than where you started off from. You're gonna gain 500 miles per hour eastward momentum when you only went west and south. You can't at least acknowledge that contradiction. Now you're going to start going to magical atmosphere. What? You're ridiculous.
Well, think about this. Let's say you're traveling south, and let's say the Earth is not rotating, and you're traveling south on this sphere. And as you travel south, you have a faster and faster crosswind, and it's going 100 miles an hour. Let's say, would that southward direction of your travel, would it give you more tangential velocity, more momentum to the east from the respective inertial frame?
The crosswinds are not the same as the Earth moving, bro.
It is. It's exactly the same. There's no difference.
No, it's not. Yeah, because one's consistently 15 degrees in the eastward direction. The crosswinds go in all directions.
This is why This is why.
Hang on, Zanuck. Do words have meaning?
Yes, words have meaning.
Can you change them whenever you want?
No, I use the words that have meaning to describe what I'm trying to convey to you,
and selectively to try to support your idea. That doesn't.
Point
make
is,
sense.
I want to. I want to get a point of it. Like last time with the atmosphereless Earth, I want this time to have another point of agreement with you. I'm trying very hard to have you understand, and just then once you understand.
How about me understanding?
You'll be able.
Stop. I'm not going to let you
stop.
do that.
If you stop interrupting me and start listening, it's going to be over in like a minute.
I don't understand. When you say I don't understand, I'm going to interrupt you because that's not the case here. Everyone sees that you can't answer it, and I can't answer it. The same scenario.
I can't answer it.
You have no answer.
Jesse gave up.
Me
Bacon gave up. Everybody's given up.
They all had no answer. They were all embarrassed.
I have the answer.
You're embarrassing yourself even further after you've already.
I'm not embarrassed myself. Anybody with half a brain will understand. I'm not embarrassing anybody, but you.
Right. Everyone here sees it except for you.
Okay. So in perspective, if you were traveling south.
Zanuck,
if you're traveling south and you're not controlling and changing direction, would you have any momentum gained by that body traveling south? Yes or no?
What are you talking about? Momentum gained by what?
So you don't understand. You don't get it.
No, I'm asking
you're traveling
you why
south.
you asking
I can't be any more clear. You're traveling south. I just want to get a common ground. I just want to get a common ground, like I did with the Earth having
the definition of Gishgalop, dude.
Unbelievable. I can't even have a
southwest. Just deal with that scenario. Don't start quizzing me. No, I'm not going to. I'm not. Your question.
We're not going to do it.
You can answer.
You don't understand how crosswind gives you momentum.
You can't answer it, and you're embarrassing yourself.
I can't go here. I can't do it. Sorry. I'd like to help you, but I can't.
West, southwest. Give up. Run away because you did it last time. And you did it the time before that.
I'm not running away. I can't talk when you're talking.
It's all about me interrupting.
How about? Well, you know what? Sugar Cookie want to talk about it. How about I have a one-on-one with Sugar Cookie? Would Sugar Cookie?
Nobody can hear what you guys are saying.
Zanuck, the plane's going west-southwest. I will not hear any other answer besides that. West-southwest.
Then you will be committed to confusion. You don't need to break it down for you because right.
It's hilarious, dude.
Yeah, it's hilarious, actually.
Yeah, so answer the question, west-southwest, how does it gain eastward momentum when it's headed toward the equator? Answer it.
Throttles back.
The atmosphere.
Throttles back. Throttles back.
Got it.
The question wasn't to you, Jesse. Hold on a second. Jesse, the question wasn't to you. It was to Zanuck.
I was quicker.
Let Zanuck answer it. Let Zanuck try again to try to Gishgalop and then make another scenario and talk about south instead of west-southwest. Answer it. More momentum eastward when it's only going west-southwest. How does it work?
The atmosphere will be imparting a force on that object the entire path that it travels. And it'll be constantly getting faster and faster as it travels southward. We're talking about a southward direction of the component.
I said westward, west-southwest. Why are you trying to change it to south again? West-southwest.
Southwest component.
And then
why do you fight every time?
Because I keep repeating the same thing and you're changing it.
Southward
component. You're changing it to south as if you can bank left.
Listen, you have to bank left. All you have to do is travel from point to point, and you will automatically, with the aid of the atmosphere, putting a constant force that is changing as you travel the distance.
Now it's automatic.
5 miles per hour per minute. And so every time I try to talk, you do this. And I'm saying this every time I talk.
Because you're
nobody's interrupting. You said miles per hour per minute.
You're saying automatically now. Now you're saying automatically. You heard the words come out of your mouth. Automatically. Well, then why would you ever have to correct for anything if it's automatic?
I didn't say automatic. I
Yes,
said
you
it,
did. You
a
said
portion of it
automatic.
is a portion of it
Point to point
already
automatic.
exists. The portion that is acting on the unbelievable. I got a mental problem that you. So as you're traveling,
That's
your
so
southern
much.
component. See, as you travel, your southern component is going to be affected by this increased tangential velocity of the actual atmosphere. So the atmosphere has a higher tangential velocity, and that's what you're rolling into progressively. And that will act on this moving body as you travel southward, not traveling south. I know you're going southwest, so don't correct me on that. The southern component will have a correction that is going to give it, what? Momentum.
He wants to leave
Tangential
west out of
velocity
it.
as you go
He's
south.
trying his hardest to leave the westward direction out of it because it fucks it all up.
No,
in
I'm
his head.
not. I've already, every time I say south, I always add west.
West,
because I know you're there.
southwest. There's a difference. South southwest is different than west southwest. That means you're going mostly west and a little bit south.
Let's just say southwest. Oh, you want to do west southwest?
See how he has to change it? See how he
Now
has
it's
to
even
change
more.
it?
Now so you have a little less of an angle. Same thing. You still have a 600-mile component, and you're going to be going 600 miles south over 4 hours. So for 4 hours, you're going to be going south. No? Are you not going over 4 hours? Did
Just
you not go
west,
600 miles
southwest.
south?
I don't know if I have
Hello?
to, I'm
Even
sick of
if
saying
you're going
west,
south,
southwest.
even if you're going southwest, are you not traveling south for 6 hours? Yes or no?
No, I want you to say, I want you to repeat this back to me. West, southwest. Do not deal with any other scenario. West, southwest.
You're
How many times do you have to
impossible.
say that?
West,
It's impossible. That's
southwest.
what I've been saying to you for 3 days
West,
now.
southwest. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you
And
are
how do you gain eastward
yes.
momentum if you're going west, south?
Because you're traveling south. While you're flying southwest, you're flying south for 6
just
hours.
changing
Are you
again.
not?
West, southwest. You just said
But
south,
you're still
southwest.
flying
It's
south.
west, southwest.
You're still moving south. No,
So that doesn't fix it.
it
You don't
does
gain
fix it.
eastward momentum just by
It
going
does
south.
fix it. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
You say it over and over again. Make it true, right? Just say it. It'll make it true.
It is.
Okay, you're
The
smiling
air
when you're
mass you're
talking. We
flying
can hear
in, the
that.
entire air mass is moving at a differential velocity proportional to the latitude. Now, sure,
You
there can be
can't answer
crosswinds.
how it would get if it's going west southwest. It would never gain eastward momentum. The
Does
conversation's
it have a
over right
south?
there.
Does it have a south component of 600 miles over that time?
This is like Dr. Bob when he was like,
Is there a vector
"Oh,
south at all?
just because it
Is
means
there
that
a
if you bank
vector
left, you
south?
could call it south southeast." You said east. There's your eastward component. It's south southeast because
I didn't say
the
east.
left turn would be a little bit south southeast, so that fixes it.
Oh my
No.
God! Okay, let's go back to the water.
You're
back to the
the
water.
one
Let's
who's
go back to
oh
the
my
stream.
god. Everyone's saying oh my god.
Let's go back to
You
the
keep trying to
stream.
change it to south southwest. You keep changing it. Just
Let's
go
go
west
back. Let's go back
southwest.
to the stream. Would you? Can we?
You can't fix it.
Can we go back to the stream? No. I mean, I want to find a common ground because there are many that we can have, but you keep on fighting. And
There is no common ground because I keep drawing out the same scenario saying west southwest. You would never gain eastward momentum.
if the air,
Then you start trying
okay,
to say
if we were
atmosphere,
traveling
and
in
then
water,
and then you
if we're
it's automatic,
traveling in
it's not
water,
automatic.
okay, let's use water then.
Now you want to go to
We're
water.
traveling. We're flying through
See?
water. Let's say we're
Gish
flying.
gallop. Gish
Oh
gallop.
my God,
Non sequitur.
dude,
Non
you
sequitur.
are
Gish gallop.
impossible.
No, I'm just making a very plain scenario that you will not answer. It's airplanes over a globe going west southwest. It needs more eastward momentum. By the time it gets to the equator, it needs 500 miles per hour. More momentum, but it lost momentum because it went west southwest.
Let's
You
use
can't
a
answer
boat
it.
instead. How about
You're
let's
the
use a
one
boat?
just galloping. Don't
Let's
act
use
like
a
I don't
boat.
understand.
Let's
You're
use a
done.
boat. Be easier
This
because
is
I think
over.
that'll be
People
more.
are getting sick of you
So
repeating your fucking
if
bullshit.
you use the boat, you haven't stopped talking yet. I haven't got a sentence out. So
Just
if you're,
don't change the scenario.
let's
Don't
try a
change
boat. Let's try a
Holy
boat.
shit!
See?
Xanax
This
says
is
he's
ridiculous.
never gotten a sentence out. That's
I'm not.
He goes,
I've been
let's try a
trying for the
boat.
last half
Let's try
hour.
a ball. Let's try balls. Let's try boats. We're talking about airplane going west southwest. Don't change it.
Right. And go to Hawaii from San Francisco. It's also southwest. So we're
No,
going
I
to go
said
to
west
water.
southwest. Also,
West,
you can't say
southwest,
also
yes.
and then change it.
West
Jesus.
southwest. Great. Fine. Doesn't matter. If I'm taking a boat,
does.
it's west southwest.
Why would you
Stop
change
it.
it if it didn't matter?
Because I want you to get a common ground. if we have the ocean that does not have any currents, just this is how we did it last time with the no atmosphere. We all agreed, and now that we're trying to address your actual question, you're not understanding. I'm trying to make it so you do understand. If we're God, you are.
It's not about the understanding. You can't gain eastward momentum when you only went west southwest. I'm sorry, dude.
Why don't you do this? Why don't you?
How?
Can someone mute him for a second so I can? I've been trying to finish the sentence for about half an hour.
Change it again. Talk about boats.
Because I'm trying to give you something you can actually understand. And
it's not about me not understanding. Nope, not going to do that. Every time you say I don't understand, I'm going to interrupt you and say, answer the fucking question.
Okay, here we go. We're changing it all together. We're going from San Francisco to Hawaii. Also southwest.
No, okay, we're going to change it. Nope, we're not
west
changing it.
West southwest. And if the ocean it has no currents and it's fixed to the ball, right? We have no still water. There's no moving. So I can't even get the
Why are you talking about boats?
Come on,
you can't
someone
change it. The rules are it's an airplane over a globe. You can't do it because you changed it.
You said he's going to talk about boats.
You're talking about boats again.
Because I want
airplanes, motherfucker.
Riggs, can you meet me in the chat? Meet me in the chill lounge, Riggs.
No.
I'll tell you, and you can explain it to him.
No, he wants to leave the room.
I really don't want to.
About boats
no.
Well, it'll take like 5 seconds. He's just talking over me, and anyone doesn't see it as an idiot.
No, it's okay, man.
No, I'm the one that's trying to get you to stick to the scenario. You're the one talking about boats. I said don't talk about boats.
Basic motion. You don't understand relative motion.
I'm in a variable, man. I'm not going to help you.
Go ahead, Riggs. Because I can tell it to you in a minute and save time, and you understand. You can tell it to. Okay.
Hey, you know what? Class is over.
Yeah, it's over. Over before it started.
Class is over.
So, yeah, I failed, not understanding, but failed to be able to explain it to you because you're too stupid.
Yeah, you just failed to be able to explain it because I don't want to
I'll just admit it. I am too stupid for your.
No, not you, Riggs. Perspective.
Class. Oh no! I volunteer as tribute. I am too stupid for your class. I promise.
It's so funny, dude. I said don't talk about boats, and you're like, okay, the current of the water.
Well, I want you to understand how you can get.
No, it's not about me understanding.
By going south.
Answer the fucking question.
You don't understand.
Fuck you.
So I'll answer it again. I'll try it again. The way you want.
Nope, you're not going to go west southwest with the fucking airplane. Don't change the scenario.
Gives you southward.
Has nothing to do with me.
Gives you
nothing to do with me understanding.
Talking over the entire time. You wanted to know the answer. I'm trying to talk to you.
Dude, Dave, you've been arguing this debate, point for like 5 years.
You won't let me talk, so it's going to go on forever.
You just don't understand, though, man. I'm telling you.
He doesn't
understand. Yeah, that's their go-to. That's all they can do. Is you don't understand because I can't explain it.
All right. So we'll use your scenario, and I'll go back. I won't even go to the boat. I'll keep out of the boat. Although the boat would probably help you.
Oh, great.
I'm trying to give you a lifeline. I'm trying to give you a lifeline, but you don't want to take it.
Oh, I need a lifeline. You need a fucking lifeline, bro.
No, dude, you need a fucking lifeline.
West southwest.
You're an idiot. You are a bona fide
I'm an idiot because I want you to get you to answer the direct question that you will not answer for 3 days now, and act like I'm an idiot.
Answered it. I've answered it.
What's
you
the
just
answer
never
then?
accepted the answer.
Answer it. Answer it.
The air mass.
Oh, air mass
flying in.
What? Wind's going all directions.
Progressive. Let's call it a steer, because it works against you if there's a westward. Westerly wind, an eastern flow of wind. It gives you momentum to the.
Not enough to catch up to the 1,000 miles per hour of the ground. You have to gain 500 miles per hour the more than you took off with. You went westward only.
With the air mass.
West and south. You can't gain 500 miles per hour the opposite direction of which you flew. It's a direct contradiction.
Because
your fall is over.
The wind is going 500 miles an hour
faster. Not good enough.
The wind is going 500 miles an hour faster. Okay, I'm an idiot for even staying this long. I'll stop.
Yeah, you are. You're an idiot this whole time you were here.
You literally gave me no time to even finish a sentence, so you're an idiot.
No, because you went west, dude. You went west. You admitted you'd lose momentum going west. Now you're saying it's going to somehow be 500 miles per hour faster.
When
even if it does have
there is
you're flying against the atmosphere.
Hang on,
You're
hang
flying
on, hang
against
on.
the
Can we
atmosphere.
all admit? Hang
allows
on.
you to have a force that applies to the object in the air as it travels west southwest.
So there's no Coriolis
Unbelievable.
effect.
Let me finish that sentence.
So that atmosphere makes it with no Coriolis effect then.
No, that's the reason there is a Coriolis effect.
Yeah, because
That's
you're
why
at a
you're going.
different.
All it
You're
means
in
is you're going
different
from an area of
atmosphere.
higher tangential velocity to lower tangential velocity, and you'll have by the conservation laws, you will not gain
Still
or
don't
lose
have two
momentum
reference frames.
on a
Dude, it's
atmosphereless
lower to
Earth.
higher, not higher to
However,
lower.
we have a atmosphere which will give it a increase in its tangential velocity to the east.
So closed
Yeah.
system or open system at that point, right?
So yeah, if you went west, dude, you're not going to have that. They're not going to have this atmosphere push the plane back faster in the opposite direction of which it flew. You can't acknowledge that direct contradiction.
Well, if you go west, there's no change in tangential velocities. It doesn't matter, does it?
What? West, south, west.
If you go west,
You're
it doesn't
going to the
matter.
equator.
They're on the same. You're not going to an area of tangential velocity. It's less. You're going to have less.
Oh,
You're going to have less momentum. But that's
What
okay. It doesn't
exactly?
matter.
Hang on. Here's a Zanuck. Maybe because you're very smart, you know a lot of math stuff, and I'm not very smart in math stuff. But when you say tangential velocity, what do you mean by that? Because to me, a tangent means like it touches a circle at one point, and it's a straight line. Correct?
Correct.
So,
what we're talking
so what
about-
do you mean by tangential velocity? Are you assuming that there's a circle involved somewhere?
We're talking about ball. Spinning.
We're talking about-
I mean, I have no problem.
I
I have no problem assuming I'm the dumbest motherfucker in the room.
No, you don't have to be
A
very.
tangent
doesn't matter whether
and
you know this topic or
tangential
not.
are
That's what they
so
call
all
it,
it means is the
it's
speed,
circle.
the You know that things that are on a larger radius for the same angular velocity. Like
so on a circle.
on a
Tangent
sphere.
has to be on a circle.
Yeah, it's a
You
ball.
can
At
think of
one
that being a
point,
great
right?
circle. So you could think
So
of
the
that being the great.
velocity of a
Can't
tangential
even talk to you
thing
either.
has to be touching a sphere at one point.
Yeah, it's a sphere. If we're talking about a plane flying on a sphere and it goes towards the equator where it needs 500 miles per hour eastward momentum
So
increase,
tangential.
but it only went west. So it's going to lose momentum from its original 500, but it needs more momentum in the opposite direction. Now he's saying the
Yeah.
atmosphere affects it, but it flew against the atmosphere, against
Right.
the spin of the Earth. So it doesn't
You're,
work.
you're stopping Zanuck from hanging himself here right now.
Oh, he's hung himself many times over the past 3 days.
Oh,
and now he's
God,
acting
hardly.
like it's
No,
something
everything
he's
I'm
trying to
saying
teach
is-
them.
Because
Easy
you're
to
not allowing
understand.
him to answer the question of tangential
not.
velocity.
No, because
I'm not
perspective
allowing
doesn't
him
know
to
how
divert.
to talking. I
I'm
don't know
allowing
what
him to change
what-
the
I don't
scenario
know
to
what
boats.
Witsit was
To
talking
boats
about.
or people throwing balls.
Perspective, you are a
And I'm
nightmare.
not allowing him
They
to
are.
say, I don't understand, when I keep asking the same question that he's diverting from.
When you travel south, the southern
West,
component,
southwest.
all we talked about, I don't care if it's west, southwest, doesn't matter.
You
The
should.
southern
You should.
component.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so
It
don't
doesn't
answer my
matter.
question. Answer the
No,
question
because he jumped
now.
in.
Finally
Your question-
answer.
I'll answer
Finally,
your
if
question.
I jump in and now that makes you answer his question that he's been asking you all night.
I've been trying to,
be
but he
it.
was let me speak. So Sugar Cookie, the tangential velocity, he tried to answer. I
No,
don't know
so
whether you
you're not
understood that.
answering his question. You're answering mine
Which
now. No,
que- who-
answer his.
Whose question do you want me to answer? I was answering his
The
question.
first one. Good.
His question
West,
is,
southwest.
if you're traveling west, southwest, how do you increase your tangential velocity as you travel west, southwest?
Yeah, eastward
That's the
momentum added.
And the
You need
reason that
500
you-
miles per hour.
the way
more
that you do
momentum
that-
eastward.
The way that you do that is if when you're traveling south, and now we have an atmosphere. First example, hours ago, said, let's get rid of the atmosphere so we can see what happens. And he was very much in agreement with what I came up with. You did agree to that. You didn't get it at first, and then you finally
No,
got it.
there's no mystery on anyone's part here. There's no mystery about anyone not understanding. You need more
Okay.
eastward momentum.
So let's assume you understand.
Without the
So
atmosphere,
we're
with
traveling.
the atmosphere,
We're traveling south
doesn't
southwest.
matter.
The southern component will add a force to that object as it travels equal to the difference in velocities as it progresses southward. In this case, we're traveling 600 miles to the south. Even though we're traveling west-southwest, we still have a southern component. That southern component is going to be the speed differential as we travel south. Only our southern portion of this trip. With me so far?
Yeah, but when you're going directly south, you're saying
So you're not
that
with me
you
so
have
far?
to bank east. No, I'm saying that
No, I'm not
right
banking.
now
I'm
you're
not
already
banking anywhere.
contradicting yourself.
I'm not banking anywhere.
If you were going directly south, you're saying you'd have to bank east to catch up. So now you're going west southwest. You can't bank east at all. You're actually losing momentum, not gaining it.
As moving from going
The fact
to
that you're going westward
is a
makes you
different
lose eastward momentum.
velocity.
So you can't
Going
gain more
to an area
eastward momentum.
higher
when you went
tangential
west southwest.
velocity. That means the
Oh, God,
air
I
is
I
also
repeated it 100
traveling
times.
that direction. That's why we have an tangential velocity with respect to the inertial frame as we travel west southwest. You still don't get it. I can tell. But that's
What do you mean you
okay
can tell?
because you are the dumbest guy in the
No,
room.
no, you're not. You're not acknowledging the
No, no,
the
no.
actual
I'm the
point.
dumbest person in the room.
No, he's got you beat, Sugar.
No, no, no.
Oh yeah,
I've got it.
you
I
can't
got
answer
it.
my
beat.
no. You can't. Nope. Not gonna let
I
you get
got the
away with it.
simplest part.
Nope. If you're going directly south, Zanuck, you're saying that you have to bank east to catch up to the Earth. That means that when you
Correct.
go west, that you're actually losing momentum and eastward momentum. You can't gain eastward momentum when you're flying west southwest. Period. You're acting like I'm dumb, and you're acting like you have an answer, but you don't. Because if you're going directly south and you need to bank east to catch up, you can't bank east when you're going west southwest. It's been the point for 3 days that you act like I don't get.
You don't get it.
Yeah,
You don't get it. And
exactly.
as
You have
Jesse
no answer.
said, all you have
Don't
to do.
understand.
Can I ask a question to Zanuck? What is a rotating inertial reference frame?
It's rotating. It's not inertial if it's rotating.
Thank
No,
you.
It's
Yeah,
not
you
enough.
said- you
Yeah,
said
Thank
it's
you.
inertial
true. That's true.
Yeah,
That's
new
a correction I'd like
perspective
to
rotating
make.
that.
It's
New
correction I'd like to
perspective
make.
said
said
Not,
it.
it's not
Who said a
inertial, but
rotating-
it is a separate reference frame.
Who said a rotating inertial reference?
New
Well,
perspective
no, it's
said
not.
it.
I misspoke on that one time. You're right,
Okay. All right. I didn't know that.
but it is a separate reference frame.
When I said
It's a
the
separate reference frame. It doesn't
Right.
matter because it's a separate. It's a moving reference frame, but it's a rotating reference frame under the plane, which is not in lockstep with that reference frame, and neither is the atmosphere. So none of this makes any sense. It doesn't work. The only way it can land on a stationary fucking runway is if it's stationary. You guys, how many times did I have to say it? You're the ones that are dumb if you think it actually treats
No,
the Earth
because
as stationary. when
here's
it's
your
spinning.
problem. Okay, Jesse said this before he left, and he's right. All he has to do is pull back on the throttles, and you can start acquiring some eastward momentum. Yes. Remember, you had the same problem when we talked about. You had the same
Momentum
problem when we
doesn't
talked
have
about.
anything to do
Okay.
with.
Oh my god!
You had the same problem we talked about no atmosphere. Remember, we talked about the inertial reference frame versus the rotating reference frame, and you got all confused. So I had to
I
stay
didn't get
with you.
confused
Inertial
about
reference
anything.
frames,
I've been
you got it?
confused this whole time. Anybody listening knows that I haven't been confused all night. You're the one
You
gift
have been
galloping, coming up
Wait
with
a
things.
second.
You,
Wait a
you
second.
said you couldn't
being
land. You said
confused
you couldn't
because
land
you
because
have
you got
no
a
answer.
you had a
You
500
can't
mile
gain
difference
eastward.
in speed.
Danik, you can't
Hang
gain
on,
You said you
hang on.
couldn't
You're
land
both
the
of you.
fucking
Hang on.
west
helicopter. Come on.
southwest. You can't
Nobody
say
can
I
hear
don't
what you
understand.
guys are saying. Hang on.
Yeah, well, let me just
Why
say it one
is
time again. I'm going to say it over again. Can't gain eastward momentum.